Hi, Scorpio. Just getting ready to do your reading. I know it's been a while. As you can see, I am in a different place. I am actually where it's still cold and still some snow on the ground you can see out there. Um, so let's get started with you. I did have a few downloads before I got started here. So I'm feeling like Scorpios are really in a place of expansion, looking at their independence, their abundance, their family, really in a place of like making sure that their family is protected. I got this thought about like kind of weighing the pros and cons of a situation and even just bringing up the cons. Maybe there's outside influences. I heard somebody say, like, don't say that, think positive. But I think that the, weighing of pros and cons, is really going to bring you that victory. It's like recognizing the good and the bad in a situation, and then if there is enough good, moving forward with it, and it will result in victory. I'm also getting that there's either you're in a state of balance or you're working towards balance, both financially and in relationships, as far as like giving and receiving and generosity, and just really like paying attention to kind of the inflow and outflow of things. If you're working at home through this quarantine, I feel like your emotional health is being affected. And this could be for good or for bad, but maybe that's just something that you need to look at is working at home, making you be more creative, less creative, or, being able to bring in emotion to your work where you weren't, able to when you were in, say, the corporate environment or wherever you work. This also, like I said, could be good or bad as far as how it's affecting. Okay, so that was what I got before getting started. So, what I'm going to do is take a few oracle cards just to kind of get us going, and then I will figure out kind of where you're at and the energies surrounding you, and maybe like an outcome if we can figure one out. And then I'll just close out with a few messages. Either I have here Divine Doors or the Starseed messages. So I'll pick one, whichever seems appropriate at the end. All right, so let's get started. Let's see what cards we have for Scorpio. And maybe I'll even take clarifiers if needed on these oracles. So the first one out is Live Your Bliss. So I think this is really talking about, for me, it feels like it's talking about, all the hard work that you put into, taking care of yourself, working hard, but taking that time to enjoy it. It's almost like the Nine of Pentacles, where, you've done all this. Now it's like, let's take the time to also enjoy it, and look at your abundance and be able to enjoy what you've built. Let's get another one. Let's see here. Follow the golden rule. So the golden rule is, treat others the way you would want to be treated. And so, well, that goes without saying. I think I will take a few clarifiers just to see if we get any more out of that. Let me get this in there a little better. I know there's a glare, but we're just working with it. I'm in an RV, so this is the best I could come up with here. All right. And shout out to my kids for being so quiet and still because every little move shakes the RV. So, love them. All right. What do we have for live your bliss? Five of Pentacles. Let's see. Let's do this. Five of Pentacles. Let's get one more for that. Two of Pentacles. So I think that, I mean, it goes back to your Pentacles. So this is always Pentacles are talking about, you know, money, prosperity, health, could even be family. So for the Five of Pentacles, this is something that, I mean, this person like is like feeling left out in the cold, and like, you know, it's kind of symbolizing like there's a church right there that they're walking past, being blown away in the cold, and they don't even realize that they could get help right there behind them. However, for this card, I also see that they are moving forward. I mean, they are keeping moving and moving forward. So I don't see some other cards or representations of Five of Pentacles do show someone like laid out on the ground right there. But in this instance, it shows, you know, a woman like cradling her baby to her chest and moving forward. So I mean, it's also about keeping what's important, you know, to you, close to your heart. But you do need to recognize that there are things around you that can help you. The Two of Pentacles can really be about knowing where you want to go, but not knowing how to get there. And with live your bliss, you know, in reference to that, I would say that it's saying, you know, don't worry so much about where you're going as long as you keep your eye on that prize. It's more about enjoying the journey at the same point. All right, so let's see if we can get anything for follow the golden rule. Okay, so we have Six of Pentacles, which is what I was talking about previously, was really about, you know, that whole giving and receiving and balance and generosity. So follow the golden rule, treat people how you want to be treated. I mean, give and take. It's really goes right along that same line. So I think we're on to something here. All right, so let's get these out of the way and see where Scorpio is at right now. And I'll just put these off to the side. Okay, so I'm going to use the Psychic Tarot. They do call it an oracle, but it's actually just because they name the cards a little different. I took out the chakra cards, if you're familiar with this deck, just because, you know, that's something that I'm still learning about, and so I don't really feel comfortable like interpreting the cards when those come out. So I just took those out of the deck. But if you're familiar with the deck, you know that there are chakra cards in there. All right, let's see. What do we have for Scorpio? Okay, so first card out is Wisdom, and this is like the Hierophant. So that is your current state, if you will, or your current energy. Okay, what is in your subconscious? Rest and rejuvenate. And this is kind of like the Four of Swords. So this is, I think everybody's in kind of a restful state as much as they can be during this quarantine. What's in your recent past here? So we have conflict and defeat. Sorry about that. So that is like the Five of Swords. And what do we have on your mind? Emotional withdrawal. Okay, so this is like the Eight of Cups energy. And we have as your future. Choose wisely. And this is really about 7 of Cups. Okay, so let's see. And at the bottom of the deck, our overall energy, how funny, is balance. And of course, that's what we're talking about here, right? Is balance and planning, like weighing out things and, the pros and cons. And the whole point, I remember learning this in school. It's so funny, like really literally writing down pros on one side, cons on the other, and writing them out and see which one you have more of. And that's how you know how to move forward. But I think with this wisdom card, it's really, I can't really see here. With this wisdom card, it's the Hierophant, and it's really talking about faith and knowledge. And it could be talking about somebody like a spiritual teacher. Either you are, or somebody is coming in that's a spiritual teacher. But I think that that's where you're going to want to look. This is an intuitive person, not so much as like the High Priestess, but they are in touch and in balance with their intuition as well as their logical side. So I think it's really all about balance and weighing out what you know and understanding the risks of what you don't know, if you can. So going to this 4 of Swords energy, the rest and rejuvenate, I think just taking time to relax and maybe have some meditative time. I mean, this guy here is, definitely meditating and, could be praying, which definitely goes alongside with the Hierophant, is praying and asking for divine direction and really quieting yourself in order to hear the answers that you need. And in your recent past, with this 5 of Swords, conflict and defeat. So 5 of Swords, it also, in other decks, it's not just conflict and defeat, but it's also about victories, but that don't feel like victories. But sometimes it just takes time before you recognize and look back and say, well, yeah, that was a victory. It didn't feel so much so at the time, but now I understand why that happened, and it has brought me toward this victory. So on your mind is the, there we go, emotional withdrawal. And this is the 8 of Cups energy. Sorry about that. I'm really trying to figure out how to make sure you can see that card. Okay, so this is, again, looks like somebody in introspection, and they're facing the water. So they're facing the water, which is your emotions, but emotional withdrawal, it shows them on the beach, like not in the water. But with other decks, like the 8 of Cups is really about saying, you know what, this situation isn't everything I need it to be, and really not being afraid to just move forward. And it's not necessarily about leaving a situation, but it could be saying, let me just move on to things that are best for me, or that are the desires of my heart, and, leaving behind the things that do not align with your energies, that your highest good, if you will. And then this future card, choose wisely, is like 7 of Cups. And as you can see, there's like many different directions that you could go. And it shows, again, that person sitting on that little pier, and they are, in introspection. And I really feel like it's telling you to let your intuition guide you. Do all your planning and pros and cons and so forth, but let your intuition finally guide you. Maybe the pros and cons and planning is what helps you narrow down choices, but then let your intuition guide you. And really, when you're in touch with your intuition, that's where the divine comes and guides you through your intuition. So let's see if we can get one more card for the final outcome. I'll just leave this balance over here, which was at the bottom of the deck. Let's see, what's the final outcome of this? And this may not resonate with everybody, but I think that we've all gone through similar situations where we're a little bit in our head. Maybe that Five of Swords there is really about, mental conflict. And sometimes you can sometimes you can get really wrapped up in your head about, how to make something happen, or what should I decide? This, do I decide between, the lesser of two evils and so forth. I think that really just calming yourself, like I said, involving the planning and the logical kind of weighing of options, but then quieting yourself and getting in with your intuition, because your intuition will never guide you wrong. Your ego, now that's a different story. So, your ego is more the thing that could lead you astray as far as your mind goes, but your heart and your intuition will never lead you wrong. All right, what's the final outcome here? Oh, okay. So we have trapped in fear. So this is like Eight of Swords. And this is exactly what I was saying, that mental conflict, that self-imposed prison. You bring it upon yourself because you get so caught up in the mind of trying to weigh things out. And I think that, it's easier said than done, because sometimes you really start believing that stuff. So it's not about feeling like it's something you can escape. But you can write it out, get it out. Find a creative outlet to take you away from so much of this logical debate that's going on in your head, and kind of get that creative and emotional flow going, and then quiet yourself and listen to your intuition. I promise you it will not lead you astray. All right, so let's take the divine doors, since we're talking about decisions here. These decisions could be anything. I mean, we're faced with decisions constantly. Obviously, this one's weight is a little bit higher, I feel like, with the major arcana, the Hierophant, and that balance card, which is really temperance. Those major arcanas are really saying to me that the divine is protecting you to move forward in this decision. So, like I said, the divine guides you through your intuition. So really just quiet yourself and listen to what's right. All right, what are we getting for? Oh, that one flew out. Let me see where it went. Okay, I got this door. Don't pay attention to my ugly nails. Haven't been able to get them done. All right, so we have birth. Another gateway appears in view. New life is unfolding with blessings to you. Beautiful. And these messages I really don't interpret. That's kind of, I leave these little messages here for something for you to contemplate when you leave the video. All right, one more for that. Okay. This is what it looks like. All right, and it says, silent skill. I challenge you to unpack your mind. In meditation's grace, the soul can unwind. Breathe in, breathe out, let go of doubt. This goes beautifully with what we were talking about. So I'm going to leave you with that. Please do like, share, and subscribe. It is a little thing you can do that means the world to me. And remember, the universe has your back, and so do I. Talk to you next time. Thanks.